So, what are some things that you can do right now to help this country, right before the election and after the election, in particular if Hillary gets elected? So, I've thought about this a bit more, not considerably more, but I've given it a few minutes of thought here and there, doing things around the house, and it just kind of popped in my head a few things that we have talked about some of them, but in terms of just being more active in our communities, in our states, in our government in general, here are a few things that I would recommend. First of all, if Hillary gets in, we would have to be a lot more firm on what we will allow and what we will not allow as people, the citizens. So that means that we would have to have a lot more of a voice with our representatives on various levels about what is and what is not acceptable, because she's going to try to push and influence a lot of things through Congress or through executive action that will be unconstitutional. And this is why it's so good to support organizations. There's a whole litany, and I was trying to, maybe pick a few off the top, but it probably wouldn't even be fair. For free speech organizations, there's a lot of good ones that fight for our freedoms. So you might want to check out those organizations. Also, those that are for the Second Amendment. Of course, every amendment is important. I'm just making examples. The Second Amendment's a little easier just here in the United States. There's really two main bodies that represent that particular movement and those freedoms, the NRA and the Gun Owners of America. I definitely want to throw a couple dollars their way. You would also want to probably be a member. It's not that expensive, and it does go a long way to helping us fight unconstitutional legislation. And then the next thing would be, there's a lot of different types of privacy groups. I love those kind of groups. They talk about how to secure your information, how to, be aware of, maybe spying or eavesdropping, maybe from government or from other hackers. And those are great people as well. Once again, there's a lot of those out there. So kind of hard to kind of just cherry pick those, but check those out. I would also have to say, though, that, you know what? It's good to vote. Exercise your freedoms and your right to do that. So yeah, even though I said I've been on the fence, I'm going to think that I know it's the right thing to do, to go and vote. So you should do that as well. So that's what I've determined. You should vote. And of course, I would have said that anyways before, but I just feel like I was kind of caught up a little bit in the chaos, I would admit, and I think that's by design, by the mainstream media. I was going to say the multimedia. It's because it's on various platforms: radio, internet, TV, cable. But the mainstream media has kind of tripped us up a little bit to kind of almost like force us to not care about our political system, our political types of process here in the United States. So don't buy into it. Don't also buy into the whole idea that Hillary's already won. We have about 26 or so days left of the election, before the election. There's nothing in stone that she's won anything. In fact, all my friends, when I started asking them last night, and I started watching other videos too, that said the same thing. It was kind of ironic how all this came together for me. But they say that pretty much they never see almost ever any bumper stickers for Hillary Clinton, but they see a ton for Trump. And they even see quite a few more for Bernie Sanders, which is not even in the race. And he has more bumper stickers. And this is not just in states that are conservative or Republican. This is a very mixed bag of states. And so don't be fooled by the mainstream media that say, hey, everybody's left the Donald Trump camp and his whole campaign is just completely ruined. I don't believe it for a second. So don't fall for that. Regain your hope and your focus. Vote this year. Vote for Trump. Yes, he's not the ideal candidate. I totally agree. If anybody would think that, it would be me. He is totally not my candidate, but he is so much better in almost every realm than Hillary Clinton. And, I would rather have someone like Rand Paul, or even his father, Ron Paul, something of that caliber, because I agree with probably well over 95% of what, those two gentlemen say. Very, very strong candidates, in my opinion. Freedom lovers, libertarians, but we don't have them right now. They've been removed from the option list, which is just completely undemocratic. You would think that, and they should have probably never ever have run for the Republican Party anyway. They should be independent. What are they thinking? I mean, yes, it's a pipe dream to think that you could become the candidate. But when you're really an independent libertarian, you're never going to get that far in mainstream politics, especially in the Republican Party these days. So basically, number one, vote. Regardless if you're in a very strong Republican state and it's pretty much just given that you're going to win, go out and just exercise that right. So there you go. Be strong with that. Number two, throw a couple dollars, Trump's way. If you have it, of course, it could also support, like I said, those other organizations, the NRA, the Gun Owners of America, also known as the GOA. You can do that. You can do, or any other organization that you feel like that supports our freedoms and liberties, that backs the Constitution, that is mindful of our personal liberties, and goes out of their way. And there's a whole mission that their whole mission is to focus on that. And so the preservation of our Constitution and our way of life is critical and key if we want to have America in the future. If you want to have generations, in the future that can actually enjoy what we have or what we have left. We need to be proactive and to secure that now. Okay, so basically vote, support Trump, vote for Trump, and vote for support other organizations that are liberty minded. And lastly, talk to your neighbors. I've been doing this personally. It was a little odd at first. It was kind of hard to break the ice when it comes to politics. They typically say don't talk about politics or religion if you really want to, keep close relationships with people. But luckily, all that I've met, there's only one person in my town that I've even met that is a Democrat. But everybody that lives around me, thank God, are staunch, supporters of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, obviously, and they're Republicans. Most of them are libertarians, which is even better. That's what I am. And not to put us in a box or put labels on each other, because I don't like labels, but that's just kind of the best, closest match. And they're definitely going to vote for Trump. But it was reassuring to know that who I live around. We had nice conversation. Pointing out all of these errors that Hillary Clinton and how that she puts down range and how tyrannical she is, how criminal she is. And yes, there's a lot of problems with Trump, but you know what? At this particular point, we had no other option. This is what we're forced into, which is a real sham. I mean, this is a sham of shams. And so everybody that I know, personally, at least on my street and in town, besides that one lady that I won't mention who she is, but everybody else is voting for Trump. So there you go. Awesome. And so you could say, well, you don't even have to go vote at your precinct because you live in a small town and it's 100% pretty much given that Trump's going to win, most likely. I would have totally agree. I would be completely shocked if Trump didn't win in my precinct. But at the same time, once again, exercise your rights. And so voting is a right, and that's what we need to do. And vote for the right person, support Trump. Once again, if you have a few dollars, throw it his way. And if you have a social media account, even if it's just like this, what I'm doing, YouTube account, make a small video. Even if you just do a small slideshow, just put something out there. Put something out. Even if it's on Facebook, just put out there a couple reasons why Trump is a good candidate for America, at least over Hillary Clinton. Just put some feedback out there. I have to say I watch a lot of YouTube channels, and probably the quickest and shortest little spout about this, James Yeager. If you watch the Tactical Response at all, James Yeager kind of just was on this road trip, and he did this really small, low-resolution little video clip, and he just basically just said, "Get off your ass." And I'm not as forward as he is most of the time. I'm blunt sometimes, but I'm not forward like that. And I have to say it's pretty much true. Just, with all due respect, everybody get off your ass, including myself, and let's make this system work. Let's make it so that Hillary can't get in, and let's get Trump in. As much as I thought I'd never say that, You kind of have to. You have to say this because what is the alternative? We're going to have massive, massive implications, and the Constitution, in most part, will probably be voided. I mean, or at least reinterpreted to a point we would never even be able to recognize it anymore after 8 more years of her, or at least even 4 years. It could be extreme damage, just like we've seen 8 years with Obama. It's extremely damaged, and there's been a lot of legislation gone through that's unconstitutional. And we have Supreme Courts making really unconstitutional judgments. They're very biased, and we can't afford for this Constitution to have other and new Supreme Court justices to reinterpret the law of the land that violates even our traditions and our way of life. So we have to safeguard this, and we have to put the line in the sand, and that basically is a fight here politically before we have to fight in other ways, which we want to avoid at all cost. This is a republic. We represent ourselves. And if those in power that we've put in power do not listen to us, we have the right to remove them out of power at all, in all means. And this is no joke. This is tyranny. This is how tyranny gets in if the people don't stand up. Look at other countries, you know. I got a lot of people that I know in Canada, and it's a very tyrannical place, just like a lot of parts of Australia and United Kingdom. Now, a lot of people, those people who live there go, oh, it ain't that bad. What are you talking about? I've had a lot of those kind of comments, a lot of private email messages saying, you know, what are you even talking about? I would never live in America. You guys are so uneducated and all kind of poverty and ignorance here and there. And you know, just because we have more restrictions and less freedoms to some degree doesn't mean that we're not a good country to live in. I agree that we have a lot of problems here. But in a lot of ways, even though there's the freedom indexes show that some of those other countries I just named are supposedly more free, that's a bunch of malarkey. You know, I mean, some of these surveys and these polls are just very globalist minded. They're very skewed. And so I don't know where the hell they're coming from. Yes, we have very high taxes, and I can see maybe personal economic freedoms are not the highest in the world. I would agree with that. But we do have liberties, at least on the books, and freedoms that we should take more advantage of, and we should actually maximize and use every day, not just hold in reserve. So, you know, I respect all the people in every country of the world, but it's hard to really understand why they don't push to have more freedoms. Why wouldn't you want to have more flexibility and more options in your life? Why would you want to let your government tell you what you can and cannot do? It's different than just having basic, civil law, just having, an outline of things that are extremely basic that anybody would agree with. If you kill someone, you go to prison, or if you steal something, there's a punishment, or whatever. That all makes freaking sense. But to tell you that you have only certain types of parameters with free speech, or how you can protect yourself, or how much privacy you're allowed to have, and how much the government can intrude. That is ridiculous. And I'm totally against big governments like this, because this is how they get out of control. This is how they get into a socialist state that evolved very quickly into communism. And before you know it, the people have no representation. Before you know it, a dictator just forms out of nowhere, and things start to get very, very, tricky. The sovereignty gets kind of funky. There's a lot of globalized interests that infiltrate. Large corporations do whatever they can do to make another buck on the people, and they don't really care. And they have, it's of course what it's called crony capitalism, when the government is enmeshed with these businesses, and they're not on the same playing field. And so that's what we have in this country, a lot of corruption that's intermingled with corporations and bought out politicians. And this is totally unlawful. And so we need to stand up. And the things we just talked about, or I talked about, I would say we sometimes. It's nicer to think that we're all together on this, is what I'm thinking. But hey, good luck with all this. Hopefully we'll have maybe another, at least 1 or 2 more conversations before the actual election. We have less than a month now. And once again, this is one of the last calls. If you need something, get it now before the mad panic buying. And I'm talking about, in particular, firearms, body armor, ammunition, any type of harder to get, accessory for a weapon system. Um, and in maybe even storable food, like right long term. I'm not saying there's actually like going to be a run on that, but there could possibly. Also, make sure you have a substantial emergency fund, at least some in cash. In your home, in case there is a small run on the bank or a small bank holiday. Of course, this is common sense. You should already have this anyways. It shouldn't just be for an election, but you just don't know. Some larger cities, especially in rougher, lower educated, more democratically voting, precincts, if something happened and Trump got in, let's hope he does. There could be a big backlash. We just don't know. There's always that small chance there could be riots. But just to be prepared for that. It just depends on where you live. For some people, they have no reason or no concern of that happening. Like in my area, I don't see that happen ever. There's just like maybe like a couple Democrats, possibly in my whole city, from what I can see. So I don't see that being a problem. But if I lived in a larger city, I'd take a couple extra precautions, for personal safety. Just in case there was an uprise, just like you see all this other bullcrap type of demonstrations and rioting over nonsensical type of issues, when they don't even want to support, like clear-headed ideology and logic. This Black Lives Matter, not to talk about that any much more because it's already an old issue and they're a bunch of idiots and they're just terrorists. It's a terrorist group. It's clear and clear. But you know what? When we come down to it, though, they don't fight for their own. They're even talking about how there's implicit bias. Even other black people, and apparently this is somewhat, proven to be true. Whatever. But black officers killing other black people, that's implicit, bias is what they're calling it. And it's racist now. So I guess, you can't get around anything. Everything can be biased now. Everything, there's a way that they've manipulated wording in the language so that everybody can be biased. And according to Hillary Clinton, everyone is biased, which is just amazing. She's come out and said that multiple times, that we all have either, just straight up traditional, bias toward another, group of people, or we just straight up have implicit bias and we're biased with our own group of people. And so either way, that's how it's supposed to be, according to her. There's no such thing as a person that has, just a clean slate that is open and loving to everyone. And I will admit, though, that, typically people do have biases for a reason because they may have bad experiences or whatever. But this whole idea that everybody is this biased person, I kind of just feel like that's really a bunch of malarkey. That's a bunch of malarkey. And it sounds like she's just, really stretching the truth out there just so that everybody has a guilt trip so that they can go, oh, well, she's so knowledgeable, maybe we should vote for her. You know what? Screw you, Hillary Clinton. You are an evil demon, okay? You are an evil, nasty person. You are a criminal. You should be in prison. And you do not represent me or my family or my community, for that matter, my state. And you know what? You should definitely just go ahead and just close your campaign and surrender yourself to authorities. And we should never hear anything about you ever again. The people of America are tired of you, and you are disgusting. And I hope and pray that Trump will dominate like no other. I hope this election is a blowout for Trump. And so let's be positive, let's stay focused, and let's just go ahead and create those actions to make this happen. As always, you guys take care, be safe, vote, and vote for Trump, support Trump, and support all of the other different types of freedom organizations that work every day tirelessly to keep intact and to preserve the Bill of Rights.